My advice, don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. Learn at least a little from them and move on. It's never too late to improve. Get the right heroes and copy them. Remember Alfred Nobel, later of Nobel Prize fame, who reportedly read his own obituary that was mistakenly printed when his brother died and a newspaper got mixed up. He was horrified at what he read and realized he should change his behavior. Don't count on a newsroom mix-up. Decide what you would like your obituary to say and then live the life to deserve it.
Welcome to the show. This is the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. This is where you get real clarity about retirement so you can build a plan that blesses your life instead of becoming it. We'll share what you need to hear to replace worry with confidence, protect what you've built, and actually live your dreams, not your fears in retirement. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast here at Big Money Retirement Solutions. So my name is Luke, and obviously you know that probably by now if you've been listening to our podcast, but it's just going to be me today without Jonathan, so we're not going to have that energy and charisma that we usually have, so I'll do the best I can. But what I was thinking of doing is really going through the recap of my experience at Berkshire Hathaway and really why it really was impactful for me and why events like this are really important to me. And I think it'll show, good insight into, why it is that I do what I do at this company and why we do what we do at this company and helping people not have to worry about money in a lot of senses. But how I want to go through this recap is I'll go chronologically. So I'll go from my arriving on Thursday through to leaving on Sunday, so I can have some structure. I'm a very structured person, so that's the way that I can really make sure I don't miss anything throughout the process. But if we start off on Thursday, so I flew out from here in Greenville. I flew out to Nashville on my layover and then over to Omaha on last Thursday. So I arrived at about 5 p.m. on Thursday. As I was flying, I wanted to prepare for the meeting and I wanted to really get into the mindset of, what it's like to be a shareholder and to be a part of this community. And I usually do this when I fly into these types of meetings is reading the most recent letters from Warren or the new CEO, Greg Abel. So that's what I did. On the way, I read the most recent Thanksgiving letter from Warren Buffett and also Greg Abel. He's the new CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. I read his letter to shareholders as well. But on the way, I started off with Warren's Thanksgiving letter, and it was really impactful for me. And it's as I've learned and become a part of this community and the investment community, which I believe is a really strong and really ethical investment community, it's really made a big impact on my life. And so I can show you like a snippet of why it has been. So anyway, I read through this letter. It took about a 10-page letter from Warren Buffett. It's probably going to be one of, if not the last letter from him to shareholders. But he goes through a lot. He goes through business. And one reason I love following him is he's a business person and an investor, a fantastic business person and investor, but he's a great person and a great role model. And same as Charlie Munger, great person, great role model. If you're going into a business deal and it's not a win-win situation, they're not doing it. So that's why I love it, because they're long-term minded. They want to treat people well and they have very good ethics and integrity. So anyway, at the end of the letter, I'll skip to the end because I think that for me that this was the most impactful. He says a few final thoughts. One perhaps self-serving observation. I'm happy to say I feel better about the second half of my life than the first. My advice, don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. Learn at least a little from them and move on. It's never too late to improve. Get the right heroes and copy them. Remember Alfred Nobel, later of Nobel Prize fame, who reportedly read his own obituary that was mistakenly printed when his brother died and a newspaper got mixed up. He was horrified at what he read and realized he should change his behavior. Don't count on a newsroom mix-up. Decide what you would like your obituary to say and then live the life to deserve it. So just to cut there, I love how he's saying that Fast forward to your obituary, which you are not writing, someone else is writing it for you, what you're going to be known for, and then work back from there. What kind of life do you want to be? Who do you want to be as a person? And going back to the letter, greatness does not come about through accumulating great amounts of money, great amounts of publicity, or great power in government. When you help someone in any of thousands of ways, you help the world. Kindness is costless, but also priceless. Whether you are religious or not, it's hard to beat the golden rule as a guide to behavior. And just to cut there, obviously, the golden rule when it comes to treating people is the do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Obviously, a timeless piece of wisdom and a great way to live. Going back to the letter, I write this as one who has been thoughtless countless of times and made many mistakes, but also became very lucky in learning from wonderful friends on how to behave better. Still a long way from perfect, however. Keep in mind that the cleaning lady is as much a human being as the chairman. At the very end, he says, choose your heroes very carefully and then emulate them. You'll never be perfect, but you can always be better. So the reason why things like that are impactful for me is he's an example of becoming a huge business success, but he did that because of the integrity and the ethics that he has. And so it really resonates with me in a huge way. I'm not sure if everyone would appreciate that, but I appreciate that a lot. But anyway, yeah. So being a good person, that's like one of the best parts of learning from this community is I feel like I really am in sync with that. And it's really cool to see a business leader who is building this community around just being a good person in business. I read Greg Abel's letter as well, but to cut to the chase, it's very in the weeds on business and basically just saying that nothing really is going to change at Berkshire. The whole Berkshire structure is very decentralized as it is. But Greg Abel, he's different from Warren Buffett. He's not like the outstanding legend that everyone knows. He is a fantastic operating person that is leading the company now, and he's going to lead it very well. But I don't think that most listeners would connect with what he's saying in the letter because it's very mechanical on the business. But anyway, that set the tone coming into the meeting. And then on Friday, how it worked is I saw some friends for breakfast. I've made some incredible friends at Berkshire Hathaway. You can imagine the type of people that show up at this conference, either very successful, very motivated business people and investors, and also very good people too. So these are some awesome people I had breakfast with. And then I went on to the ValueX conference. So not everyone knows about this. It's the Friday before the actual Saturday event. But on the ValueX conference, it's hosted by Guy Spier. And I don't know if many people know Guy Spier. He's very much a very famous figure in the investment community, but he's a fantastic example of a great person leading the investment community. So he wrote the book called Education of a Value Investor. I would really recommend if anyone has interest in investments and also strong ethics in business, read that book. It's really amazing. Education of a Value Investor. It's one of my favorite books. And what's sad is that Guy Spier, he has created and led this fund called Aquamarine Capital. It's done extremely well, but now he's coming to terms with what he has now, which is brain cancer, which is really sad. He's actually had surgery recently and he's battling it right now. But I think because he is, facing death in a way, or has gotten close, I guess, it was not really about business. It was much more about living a good life and being a good person. He's a great example to learn from. If I can go back to my notes, and by the way, I took down a bunch of notes from my whole weekend. So I'm going to see if I can find his notes. Let's see. Yeah, Guy Spier. So just some basic takeaways I took from him. Living in the now is priceless. And he says that, being here in this community or being at this conference, for instance, and being here in the present and enjoying yourself and connecting with people, that's the purpose of life, which is pretty deep. I love that because he's talking about stuff that's way more meaningful than just making money. So being here in the now, connecting with your people, and enjoying your life, that is the purpose of life, to cut to the chase.
If retirement clarity matters to you, don't wait. Text BOOK to 864-920-3155 or click the link in the description below to get a free copy of Jonathan's book, Retire Right.
But yeah, some awesome speakers that were at the ValueX conference included Bill Ackman. He talked about AI, technology, how he's investing. Other people like Monish Prabrai, for instance. And these are some names that you would only really recognize if you were researching and being a part of this community in depth. But Monish Prabrai, for instance, he's probably my favorite investment speaker. You can find his stuff on YouTube. But some great takeaways that I got from him is your deepest desire is your destiny. And I love that. So really, truly, at the end of the day, what deep down inside you find is most important, ultimately, you're going to make that happen. That is your destiny. And also, one of the great things about life and the main beacon of life is pursuing your passion and really what makes you happy. So introduce randomness into your life, because the more things you try, eventually something will be obvious that you just love to do. So finding your passion, that's going to be one of the main treasures of life and what's actually going to make you happy. He did talk about his investments as well, but I won't get into that in too much depth. And also when he talks about like a great business and an example of a company that's going to be enduring, like a great business or a great investment. He gave an example of like Coke, for instance, like great company, great enduring brand. And at the end of the day, if you own a company or an investment that is really, truly strong in its brand and how it operates, that's going to transcend many other things like currency, for instance. Like even if the world came to an end and there was a nuclear war, worst case scenario, Coke eventually would rise from the ashes from that. So people would still want to trade 15 minutes of their time and labor for a can of Coke. That's like a great example of a great brand, someone that is going to still want that. And then over time, even if there was worst case scenario, like I said, there'll be a bottling plant that'll be made sometime soon, and then it'll kind of regrow and recreate itself. But yeah, overall, when it comes to these speakers and all these people that I love to learn from, it's not about making money and compounding, but also living a great life, and goodwill compounds. So this is just a great model to follow from people like Monish Prabrai, Spier, Bill Ackman, and Warren Buffett. So anyway, ValueX, that was awesome. I met some awesome people there too. And by the way, from this conference over the whole weekend, I probably made like 20 different contacts. Like I made so many new friends and took their contacts, and now I'll be able to, connect with those friends in the future. And then after that, went shopping at the Berkshire meeting, like next door to the actual conference. There is a shopping center, which you can probably see on our online presence and our Instagram. You'll see a video that Sam, our videographer, put up, and it shows like me and Sam going around shopping at these different areas. So all of those companies are owned by Berkshire Hathaway. They're not just there by random. So Berkshire owns like hundreds of companies at the end of the day. So all of those were part of Berkshire. Then after that, we had dinner with some friends as well. But then on Saturday, the main event, when we came in to the event, we got there at like 5:30 in the morning, I think it was. Yeah, 5:30 in the morning. I got up at 4:45. And so we were well in line. Like we were fine. We were really at the very beginning of the line. So we were there on time. And then running into the actual seminar, it was awesome. Like even Sam said, like he doesn't have a big background in investments, our videographer, but like he still loved like being there and like feeling the energy, running into the conference and meeting these great motivated people. So that was his feedback. He completely loved it. But then from the very beginning of the conference, after everyone's come in, settled down, it starts at about 8:30. So first of all, we saw Tim Cook come out. That was a really cool intro. Everyone was like so excited to see him. He loves the limelight, by the way. Like he was like waving. He was so happy to see everyone. But that was really cool. Then we saw Warren Buffett come out too, and it was a totally different appearance from Warren Buffett. Usually he comes out and he's on stage and he's in his button downs, like fully suited up, suit and tie. But this time he was just like in a sweater, just casually, hanging out in the front row of the actual conference. So that was different, to say the least. And that's probably why there was like less attendance this year. Usually that conference room is full. It's like 20,000 seat stadium. But it was about 2/3 full this year because obviously Warren's not speaking because he stepped down recently. But at the very beginning, Warren spoke for about 15 minutes or so. And he went over a few basics, but he did go through an example of how one of their biggest investments, Apple, one of their biggest investments, that was led by Steve Jobs in the beginning, and you cannot replicate Steve Jobs. Like, he is a brilliant founder and a great leader, but he was succeeded by Tim Cook. He selected Tim Cook himself. And so since then, Tim Cook has compounded Apple at a massive rate and has created so much wealth for shareholders and has served the world in a huge way. So in a way, I think we are insinuating that Warren Buffett leaving and now handing it over to Greg Abel, for instance, I think what he's trying to say is that there's really nothing to worry about. Things are going to continue as usual. The company is very decentralized. And at the very top, we have Greg Abel, who is really one of the best operating people in the world and has known Berkshire for a long time. He's been in the company for a long time. So I think that was the connection. Anyway, after all of this, on Saturday, we went out with some friends at dinner, me, Sam, our videographer, and some friends that I've made, some of the most awesome friends, and that I'll be able to see once a year when I go back next year, because I do plan on going annually from now moving forward. But after that, on Sunday, got up early, flew back home, and had the rest of the day with my wife and my dog Camper. So that was really my full timeline from Thursday to Sunday. And I hope it gives you some insight into really why I love being part of the investment community, and I love learning from people like Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, because I feel like I've said it over and over again. It's not just about living a great life with, making money, compounding your wealth, and being a great business person and investor. It's also about doing that in the best ethical way as well, like leading with integrity, and having great values. And I don't think really there's any other better example than people like Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Spier, for instance. Those are people that I look up to hugely. And if you think about it, treating people well, doing right by people, consistently, like throughout your life, that is the edge. Like, that is how you do better in business. And I don't think it's a coincidence that some of the most successful people in business are the ones that have the best ethics. So huge importance to me, huge takeaways from me, and I look forward to going to these meetings again in the future. If you have any questions for me, my email is luke@bigmoneyretirement.com, so feel free to reach out. Our number is online too, and I'd love to connect. But yeah, if you're looking for, some, kind, trustworthy people to work with at any point in time, you can always email or reach out to us. And we are building a fantastic team here, and we're really going a long way moving forward. So I appreciate your time, and thanks for listening to me ramble on about my experience. I really am an investment nerd, so hopefully you haven't fallen asleep so far. But thank you for sticking with me on this journey and my recap of Berkshire. Hope you have a good day, and thank you for listening to the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. Have a good one, guys.